Welcome back everybody to another episode, and in today's episode we are talking about the top 5 mistakes that I see beginning anglers make, so stay tuned. Alright guys, welcome back. Like I said, today we're going over those top 5, but before we jump into that top 5, you guys, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. At 5,000 subscribers, we're doing a rod and reel giveaway. I know I say it just about every video, but I want to make sure you guys are entered into that giveaway. I upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so when you guys hit the subscribe button, make sure you tap the little bell notification next to the subscribe button so you don't miss any time that I upload a video. But like I said, we're going over the top 5 beginner mistakes that I see anglers make. Now, I'm no expert any means at this, at bass fishing. I've been doing it for some time, and I've learned some things over the years. A lot of these mistakes are mistakes that I personally made, and that I commonly see anglers make. I get a lot of questions off of Instagram specifically and Facebook about, you know, tips and tricks for beginner anglers who are just getting into the sport, and these are really the top 5 that I see the most of. This first one is one that I personally had happen to me quite a few times, and that's getting stuck on one lure. When you start out fishing, there's going to be a lure that you catch fish on the majority of the time. There's going to be one lure that just seems like it's catching you fish. That's like your confidence bait, right? Well, there's going to be times when you're out there and you're throwing that lure and you're like, man, this isn't catching fish. This always catches me fish. That's when, you know, you get stuck on that lure. You're like, man, if I can't catch them off of this, I'm not going to catch them on anything else. But that's totally not how it goes. Sometimes you just need to put that lure down, pick up something a little more slow or a little faster and start with that. I love fishing a swim jig, guys. I absolutely love fishing a swim jig. There's times where I really need to slow that swim jig down or just put the swim jig down, pull out a Texas rig or a jig and just start bouncing the bottom. There's been plenty of times where I'm fishing that swim jig and I'm bringing it through and I'm not getting bit, and then finally I flip in a little Texas rig or a jig, and next thing you know, bite is on, guys. Sometimes it's all about that presentation, but you know, you get stuck on that one lure and then it just snowballs from there, and you just keep fishing that one lure that just unfortunately is not producing for you for that day. Now that kind of leads me into the next thing here, guys, and I know a lot of you have heard this term before, but listening to the fish, okay? Now, it's not exactly what you think it is, obviously. You're not listening to the fish, but you know, the thing is listening to the fish. There's a lot of times when you're not paying attention, you'll get a bite, you'll not kind of remember what you did. Listening to the fish, guys, sometimes maybe, a lot of times I'm throwing a swim jig, right? Throwing the swim jig, pulling it through, and there'll be times where I reel a swim jig pretty quick, and then next thing you know, I throw it out there and I just start slowing it down. I'm staring at a different piece of cover, I stop the lure, I start slowing it down. Next thing you know, I get bit. And then I just keep throwing it back. I'm like, oh, I got bit. So then I'm back to my normal pace. But in fact, I actually should just keep slowing it down. They wanted a slower presentation. You gotta really listen to the fish. Sometimes they want it fast. Sometimes they want that good reaction bite where you're just busting and ripping that bait back. Sometimes they want it slow. There's things like that. Sometimes it could be as easy as a Texas rig, guys. You could throw in a weightless Senko and it could sink real slow, and sometimes that's when the bite's hot. Or you could throw that right in front of a fish and he not eat it whatsoever. Next thing you know, you throw on a nice weight on there, like a ½ ounce weight, and it's the fall. Sometimes it's just the fall of the bait that gets them to bite. Sometimes they want it falling fast, sometimes they want it to really fall slow. That's when it's up to you as an angler to really key in on those fine details when you're out there and really listen to the fish, understand what they want. Sometimes when you're fishing, another good example here, I know I'm throwing out a lot of examples here, but they're really good ones, is a frog. So I work a frog pretty darn fast. I'm a power fisherman. That's like how I like to fish. I like to fish fast, get through stuff and just power through. And when I fish a frog, I'm fishing it pretty darn quick. There's sometimes where if I'm not getting bit off of that fast cadence, then I'll throw it out there, give it a couple pops, and I'll just let it sit. Let it sit for like 5-6 seconds, give it a couple pops, and let it sit. Sometimes it's just your cadence that can get that fish to strike. Now this one right here, guys, is huge. I'm guilty of this still to this day. I do it all the darn time, unfortunately. It's the same spots. And what I mean by that is a lot of people have their particular spots, high percentage areas where they catch a lot of fish, and they base their past results, they take their past results and try to predict their future stats there, right? So what I mean by that is you got a spot, let's say it's a rock point, every single year you catch them off of there, or let's say last year you caught them off of there really, really good, right? And then you come back the next year thinking that you're gonna catch them off of that point really well, and it doesn't produce, right? And you're like, dang, you know, must not be any fish here today. There's a lot of times where people will go out to their spots, hit all of their big spots, and if they don't catch fish there, they're like, well, fish must not be biting today, and then they leave. That is where an angler gets stuck into fishing the same spots. Guys, there's always a way, in my opinion, to catch fish when you're out there, okay? I don't care how tough the bite is. It can be a really, really tough bite, and you may only get those, you know, 2-3 bites for the day, but I think there's always a way to catch fish when you're out there, especially if your main spots aren't working. That's when it's up to you as an angler to start figuring out and paying attention to those fine details of what you need to do to switch it up. A lot of times, like I said, you get stuck going to that same spot, but you need to expand your horizons, search around the lake a little more. Sometimes you just need to take that time to either read your electronics, or if you're bank fishing, try some different spots you didn't try before. Really pay attention to details. Maybe there's a drop, a big ledge that you just didn't see before. Maybe there's some underwater logs that you didn't see before. You definitely want to key in on as much detail as you can when your main spots and high percentage areas are not working out for you. That's when you really need to start picking apart every area that you can to find those fish. This is one of those situations that calls for doing your homework, okay guys? You need to go ahead, go on Google Maps, whatever it may be, pull up a satellite image of that lake or area that you're gonna be fishing, you know, circle the spots that are your high percentage areas, you know. Maybe you're gonna start there in the morning and things aren't gonna work out. And then you're gonna go ahead and circle some other areas that you wanna check out after those high percentage areas that you've caught fish before aren't working out for yourself. That's where it really comes in handy to be prepared. A lot of young anglers think that they can just go out to a lake and catch them right on the spot. You know, a lot of times when I'm gonna go fish the Mississippi River, it's a big river. I gotta really do my homework on there. I will sit for hours on a satellite image of the specific pool that I'm gonna be fishing or lake, and I will sit there and circle areas that I wanna check out, and I will check those areas after my high percentage areas are done. So doing your homework really helps out with expanding your horizons. This is one that can really be a tough one to do when you're out there, especially when you're in an area that you think is going to be productive and it's not being productive at all. This can really eat at you and bring you down for the day, and that is staying positive, guys. That is another tip. Staying positive here is a huge deal. There's plenty of times where I'm hyped up in the morning. I'm like, heck yeah, I can't wait to get out there. I'm gonna get on a juicy topwater bite, throw that frog around, man, get hammered on it, buzz bait, whatever it's gonna be. I get super hyped up about doing my homework, getting all these spots down that I wanna hit that I know they gotta have fish, right? And then you go through the motions at cast after cast after cast after cast, no bites, right? That's when it's hard to stay positive. It's hard to stay optimistic about those specific areas. So you start to kind of go through the motions, getting complacent, throwing out there, just keep reeling it back, throw, reeling it back. Sometimes you miss bites. You're throwing it out there, you're not paying attention, all of a sudden you get bit, you either miss it or just kind of forget what you were doing. That's when you really just, it's hard, it's easier said than done, but especially when you're out there, you just gotta stay positive, be optimistic. If you're not catching fish in an area, you know, stay positive, know that some way you're gonna find those fish. You gotta have plans, and you just gotta know that eventually you're gonna catch fish. There's been times when I've been super annoyed, mad that I'm not catching fish in spots that I thought I was, and then all of a sudden, that's all it takes is 15-20 minute feeding window, bam, 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 you catch 6-7 fish right off of that, okay? That's how easily it can like switch on a dime on you guys. I can't tell you how many videos I've been trying or I've made that I haven't caught fish all day long, and I'm like, how am I gonna make a video out of not catching any fish today? And then all of a sudden, the last 2 hours I'm out there, I just catch 10-11 fish right off of that, you know? It can happen that quick, so you gotta stay positive. So my very last tip of the day for you guys is accuracy, okay? A lot of times anglers will turn the brakes down on their reel and try to just zing some far casts out there so they can get to some spots, especially if you're bank fishing, get to some spots that other anglers aren't able to cast to, okay? Now, I think accuracy over distance any day, okay? There could be a small spot the size of this box, for example, or even just, you know, the size of a softball where you need to pitch your bait into to get bit, okay? You gotta be accurate, okay? Especially like muddy water situations, guys, where fish are tight to cover, you gotta pretty much put it right on their nose for them to bite. So I think being accurate, especially in those high percentage areas, like if you got an underwater log, you've got a stump, you've got a big boulder, something that's there that you need to make a nice pitch to or a nice cast where it's gonna land right where you need it to, that is where it helps to be accurate. What's also gonna help you with that is, let's say you see a tree sticking out of the water or a rock or something like that, or an underwater log, and you throw in there and then you get snagged up because you didn't make a good cast, not a good accurate cast, and then you're sitting there ripping on it trying to get it out, or you gotta roll up there with the trolling motor and get your snag out. You just destroyed that whole area. Now, whatever fish was there is gone, okay? So being accurate and being good at casting and getting to the spots that you need to on the first cast or second cast without disturbing the area too much are huge in getting good bites. So there it is, guys. Those are my top 5 mistakes that I see a lot of beginning anglers make, including myself. I still make some of those mistakes to this day. I've got a tournament coming up this Saturday, and I'm sure I'm gonna make some of these mistakes myself. But like I said, guys, you know, these aren't the only top 5. I would love it if you guys would drop a comment down below in the comments of things that you see other anglers make or mistakes that you've made yourself, so we can kind of share the knowledge and spread the knowledge around. Maybe there's some mistakes that you make and then that can relate to another person. Like, hey man, I make the same mistakes. I'm not the only one who does this, okay? That's what I love about our community here. Everybody who comments is usually super positive about everything, so I really enjoy the interactions with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you like these style of videos, let me know in the comments as well. And like I always say, keep fishing hard.